This is a classic example of what not to do. Whoever did this beforehand, he didn't do a very good job. He just had little splodges of tile here and there, glue, sorry, cement-based glue. And what he's done, you can see, he's left the spaces inside the grooves. And I'm going to show you in another video, you don't do this. Never ever leave them in there. When I go to renovate the bathroom job, I'll show you the best way to do this. But to leave them in there like that is not a good idea at all, because it can really affect the grout. And I'll explain later why, but I'll show you an example. But whoever did this is a bit of an amateur. You never do that. Another thing, never do, he didn't put Celastic under there, he just put grout. You don't do that either. You're talking a totally different substance. You're talking three different substances. You've got a concrete, you've got glue, so that's two. You've got the tiles, a different substance, that's three. And you've got the metal of the stainless steel of the bowl, that's four different substances that all expand and contract at different rates. If you are going to be doing a lot of renovating around the house, I highly recommend getting a good scraper, not just a cheap, nasty scraper, but get a good one. It does make a big difference. This blade's a bit blunt, so unfortunately it's not that good. A good sharp blade will speed the job up. You've probably heard the saying that tiling is 80% preparation, and it's so true. In fact, if I give it the 85% figure, to ensure that your job is good. If you get this perfect, tiling becomes easy. This is a good time to do this. See, the render has gone a bit heavy, and he's actually blocked up a lot of where the spindle meets its seat. Clear that away, making maintenance easier later. Make sure you can sight across the wall here. Get rid of any dust and debris, get it out. You can get a vacuum cleaner if you want. Suck it right at the source, because your tiling glue is not going to stick to this. You want to stick it to what's solid. Workshop vac is best, of course. And get rid of any of that debris. That's much better. All that loose stuff, get it out. The mate guarantees a good bond.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
Not that kind of bond. Too high. Top edge is perfect 500, that's what I thought.
Your first row of tiles is crucial, so take your time to get it right. To successfully butter up your tile, you must have an extra amount of glue on your trowel or it will drag out.
Right, quick hints and tips moment. I want obviously the good edge here, down here, and then cut to there. I don't use a measuring tape or anything of that kind. I simply go upside down. I'm going to go like this, hard against there. Give my little grout, my little gap mark, which is, about roughly that. Flip it around. There's my waist, there's my cut. Now the distance across the top, of course, then is the opposite. So I'm going to have it actually upside down. I'm going to take it to there. Go for the same. Mark there. That's my side. I'm going to go from point to point, because how do I know that that is perfectly parallel to that? There could be a difference. Maybe that's not totally square. Maybe that's not quite right. There might be that little bit of variance. We've just eliminated that because we didn't even need to measure it. Next hints and tips moment. We've got a tile that's overhanging nothing. We don't want it to fall off the wall. So I took the liberty of just cutting a piece of wood. If I was to go straight up and down, you can see it's about 10 millimeters, about 3/8 of an inch, higher than what the tile should be. I can then put it back on an angle. Already done my cut. Get it to where I want to go, and then just simply jam the piece of wood up underneath it temporarily till she sets till tomorrow. Pressure it in tight. And then once again, same thing. I'll declare that to be the bottom of the tile. Simply make, there's my gap, a little bit more actually, about that. So, see. That's another quick tip actually, another hints and tip moment. Check your box of tiles. Like we're about to get rid of this bit here as wastage. If one of these corners, in fact, there you have it there, look at that. That corner's chipped. Whereas these two corners are good. Let's get rid of that. Let's do that again. I have to get my levels right. I simply just sit that tile on top of that. There's my two spaces. And I'll just gently push it up. You'll notice I did not get a crisscross and shove it into the wall like that last tile I did. Tomorrow when this is set, I get all these plugs here, pull the whole lot out, it's completely clean, and I can use them all again. If you leave a crisscross a spacer inside there, and what some tiles is they just shove them in, when you go to grout it, you don't get a good grout joint, and you may have even seen a tiling job where you can actually see an outline fracture begin to form in the grout in the shape of a cross. That's because they've left the wedge in there. Not a good way to go. You really want the grout to shove in and tuck itself around the corner to help protect the tiles and do a better quality job of grouting. I'll show you that later. And then just shove that in the center. Squeezing it that way. You can see what I've done there, just squeezed it. It won't take long, it's a very dry mix, so this won't take long to dry. Another hint and tip. I want that corner there to come out. It wasn't quite flush with the others, this one I want out. So how do I do it? Go to the opposite corner. So I push on that, push it, pulls that out, and so and vice versa. If I wanted that one out, then I push that one in. If these two are flush, then I push the two together. And then it always goes in opposites. One. Grouting tools, is there a difference? The answer is absolutely yes. This one here was, say for argument's sake, $30, that one's $15. I don't know whether the prices are correct to where you live, but we're talking double the price of that, and there is a difference. The only reason why I even own this cheap one is because I went to a tiling job and I forgot to bring this with me. I had to duck up the local hardware and buy a cheap one to get myself out of trouble. But on that, look at this. You can see it. See that flex? Here, hard as a rock. This is just it's got no give whatsoever. And this one here, you can see the pliability, and that's how it gives and it returns back to center. It's actually lighter in weight. It is, but and the foam is more than likely better in quality. You can see what I mean. There is a difference. What you're after is toothpaste, basically. Like I said before, do your scholastic work first. I did allow a full 24 hours of drying of that before I continued on. What you really want, the reason why I glued it the way that I did, is you want to make sure you shove it in deep and it's done in one hit. That's an important aspect, that it's done in one hit, because you want to squeeze it underneath the tile and around, which is why sometimes individually gluing tiles is better than screeding up the wall, because you get less of that muck in between the tiles and more chance for the grout to go in and squeeze out, and it should dry in the shape of a letter T through the guts and out through the side, forming one bite. That's again, you don't have these spaces. We've removed all spaces and wedges, so you don't end up with that crisscross in the center of the tile, weakening your grout. You don't want to put grout in here, in these sockets. Reason for that, show you later. Good old ice cream container, brilliant. Doesn't have to be vanilla. any flavour ice cream you like. Do a good job of the grouting. When I worked with a team of tilers and I was training to be a tiler, there's one thing the boss told me and I'll never forget it. He said, you can do a fantastic job of tiling. If you do a crap job of your grouting, it'll look awful. But then again, you can do an ordinary tiling job, nothing flash, but if your grouting is fantastic, it makes up for everything. In other words, grouting truly is everything. There's no point in being a perfect tiler if your grouting is terrible. And especially in time, if it fails as the years go by and you didn't put enough into a joint, the customers are going to remember. They're going to know, and they're not going to recommend you to someone else because they're left stuck with these cracks and gaps in their bathroom that they stare at every single day. It's one of the advantages and yet downfalls of being a tiler is that it's a room that is used every day. And to a woman, it's everything. You can make or break a house in terms of sale versus just a bathroom alone. The bathroom is immaculate, that'll impress the ladies. Kitchen and bathroom. So anything else you can work with. A bedroom is basically just an empty room. A hallway is just an empty hall when it comes to selling a house. But a bathroom and a kitchen and laundry third. Having an awesome looking laundry is basically a bonus. Not so mandatory, but if it looks fantastic, it really could swing the deal when it comes to selling your house. If the laundry is also like incredible, to a room that nobody really cares about is the laundry, because no one likes washing clothes. It's just a room of labour, isn't it? So no one cares for it. Not left over now, we're pretty much done. So no one cares about the laundry, but if it looks amazing, it really can swing the deal. When it comes to maybe even that extra $5,000 for the house, someone's haggling over the sale of your house. And I think, yeah, I really love that house, but there's nothing to do. It's all renovated, it's all done. We just move in and start living life. I can't get any more into it, so it means that it's squeezed in right behind, and that will stop grout from fracturing and falling out over a long duration of time. In all my days of tiling, I've never once had a customer ring me up and say, come back, can you come fix this? You've made a mistake. It's never happened. I'm not the fastest tiler in the world, but I do know that when I leave the job, it's how it must be. And not just, it's beer o'clock, I want to get going. No, for me, it's got to be right. Yeah, she's full. Wash your tools immediately. Don't worry about that. Before I sponge it, just give this some time to start tacking up. Let it set. I highly recommend, if you're going to dry these out, don't put them in direct sunlight. Let them dry out slowly, not out in the sun. The sun will deteriorate the rubber. The trick with sponging is this. And I'm stressing this because when I worked for another fella, he used to clip me around the ear for getting this wrong. Just don't play with it. It's simple. You wipe it once, you flip it over, you wipe it again, and then you dunk it in the water. You do not go a third time. I used to go a third time, and he'd whack me on the back of the head. I said, stop it. He says, you're just wrecking it. He said, once, twice, water. And back into the bucket. And again, once, twice, water. Now, I didn't get it right because it's a bit bulgy there, but that's okay. You must dunk it in the bucket. Here again, it's fatter there, thinner there. Once, probably about it. Twice, that's it. Let it go. Don't touch it. Once, flip it over, twice, that's it. Don't touch it. I would always make that mistake. I just think if I just keep wiping it, it's going to get more perfect once. Twice, don't go a third time. Should have done that. No, that's fine. It's all right. It's all good. We've got an air pocket there. Get rid of that. Shove a bit of grout into that. Get rid of that air pocket. Soaking wet, so I'm going to leave that for a moment. I'm not pushing into it and trying to dig it out. I'm just simply just wiping it gently across the face. That's it. Now to get rid of that air pocket, I've already dried that out. Give that a quick wipe there. It's really wet. I'm just going to leave that for a moment. If you get your grouting right, it can make all the difference in the world. See, that is really good. This here's not quite perfect. Just don't overdo it. She's correct there, wrong there. One wipe, two wipes. That's it, done. I've got a little bit of the yellow sponge in that. Let's get rid of that. She's gone. She's good. When I cut the sponge, there must be some flaky bits come off, so just watch that, because once it impregnates in, it's hard to get it out. Because that's that bubble that I just got rid of. Really spraying this out so it's dry as a bone. That's it, she's done.